All right, guys, ready to go?
Yes, sir.
Tough Saturday evening. I don't think our guys executed. I don't think we did a great job coaching. The whole deal. Our kids are playing their tails off. I can tell you that. I look at the back of the wall all the time and I talk about our attitude. I think our attitude's really good, and I evaluate them on that all the time. Their effort was outstanding, almost too good at times. Sometimes we're trying to do too much at times, and we just got to do our job, especially on special teams. I think MJ scores a touchdown. Everybody wants to score a touchdown every time they line up on that team, and guys are going extra, and they're doing a good job of trying to, screen and like we coach them to do, and we just got to do a better job at it. So, but they're playing their tails off in every phase of the game, and that's all you can ask for is effort. And I think we're a tough football team, so our knowledge, our details have got to get better. That's something to see, just the tiny little details that are hard to see on videotape for the normal eye, and we have to clean those up. And in the game of football, if it's just one guy doesn't do it the right way, you got 10 guys that are busting their tail and doing everything right, one guy, offensively, defensively, or special teams for that matter, good things don't happen. So we closed the chapter last night. We're moving on, and we got I think just a team that's getting better every week. Virginia Tech, Coach Pry coming to town, old Penn State guy. You see some of that flavor defensively, and you see some Penn State offensive stuff as well. Really both sides of the ball. So be another good challenge for our guys to bounce back and find out what we got. Questions?
Do you see this as this loss against Georgia Tech similar to the loss last year against Western Michigan, where you guys kind of turned it around, made some adjustments?
Every day, every game, man, you make adjustments. I don't see it as that. Georgia Tech's a good football team. If anybody's standing on the sideline and you look at them compared to what a Western Michigan, no disrespect to Western Michigan, and you see what they look like, they're a good-looking football team. They got some great players, from down that Georgia area and surrounding, states down there. They're a good football team. Obviously they made change for a reason, or whatever. I think it, obviously was healthy for them, and they played energized like I knew they would. Like I warned our team that they're 0-0. They're fresh, and I don't see it like that. But we're going to make adjustments every week, and there's a lot of good stuff on tape. There's a lot of stuff we've got to clean up.
Pat, you mentioned knowledge and details being things you need to fix. Did you expect that to kind of be an issue with how much experience this team has on both sides of the ball?
Yeah, but it's always. If I had to pull it up there, attitude takes no talent. Effort takes no talent. Toughness takes no talent. Knowledge takes some talent, and you still got new guys out there, whether it's at the linebacker position. We've had some new defensive ends out there. You got a new quarterback. You got new wideouts. But you got a new offensive coordinator as well, and I think that's always, there's growing pains that go with that, and how you want it done, and what you're doing, and how you're doing it, and transitioning from different styles of games based on who you're playing. But you got a quarterback out for a game, game and a half, whatever it is, and trying to, okay, what do we have to do this week, and then you mold into what you need to win that week, and getting out of the mold and doing what you do. I think is been a little bit of a, there's not been a whole lot of consistency as far as who's out there and when they're out there, and what we're trying to do and need to do to win a football game.
Considering what you just said about with all the newness, is there something that some teams maybe being too self-assured? This team is very self-assured. I'll start off.
Right.
Being
too confident?
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with confidence. I think you better be confident. You better be confident what you're doing. In your jobs, our jobs, you better be confident what you're doing. I like confidence. If you don't have confidence, you got bigger issues than anything. But you got to, there's got to be reality too. I think we got a good balance of that.
Pat, Ian didn't get a chance to go out and play after the Tennessee game. Are you curious to see and excited to see how he bounces back now that he does have an immediate shot, I guess, at coming off a loss?
No doubt about it. I think putting those games together, back to back, and playing your type of game, and it takes reps, and and it takes time too. So I was happy the way he played the second half. Not as happy in the first half, but again, it wasn't all him. There's some protection stuff and things that we got to get cleaned up, and again, against a good football team too. I think they're talented.
When you're struggling like that, I think he was 2 of his first 10 for like 8 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Does the thought cross your mind to try something else, try a different quarterback?
Not at all. Not not even close. I mean, he's the best quarterback we've got at this point, without a question. You know, I mean, just watch the way he operates in the second half. You can talk about having a short memory to be able to, you know, to rebound in the second half, first half compared to second half. But again, we got to get the rhythm. I mean, how many plays did we run in the first quarter? Does anybody know? Offensively, 9 plays. Okay, you don't get in a rhythm. It's hard as I'm just telling you, it's hard as a play caller to get in a rhythm when you run 9 plays in the first quarter. So let's, you know, the first attempt, the first play of the game, you know, we go to throw it. We got a guy that's wide open. Okay, Keaton can't see him because there's a protection issue, and then takes a hit. I mean, just start off in that play. Second play's a drop. So you know, you can talk completions. You know, whether it's in the NFL or it's college football, you either catch it or you don't. So we just got, you know, everybody's got to help them too. I mean, you know, completions are on the quarterback. But again, it was a little sloppy early. Just, you know, the weather was. You know, I think the second half the weather got a little bit better, but we had, you know, a little steady drizzle. I think in the first, at least the first quarter, we didn't do well with that.
Now that you've had time to go back over the tape and watch it, how much of it was just purely timing and anticipating not only where his team would be, but how the defense was reacting in certain situations that you guys drew up to give it different opportunities?
Well, I think that, you know, you find out what they're giving, what they're doing, and you know, and then you know, we adjusted, I think, for sure in the second half, and did a good job at halftime. But you know, it's always part of that. I think that's a game of football. It's what we deal with, and everybody's gonna play a little bit different.
Do you think Keaton's as comfortable as he maybe could be or should be in the pocket and back under center?
I think he's really comfortable back there. You see how he sits in the pocket, throws the ball. He's not afraid to sit back there and take a shot and throw the ball. I mean, he does it, and that's what you have to do. He's not a scrambler. He's not a guy that's gonna, you know, just take off and run for no reason. He wants to, you know, we just got to get him in a rhythm, and that's us as coaches getting him.
What's
You
your
know,
value?
our job as coaches got to put our players in position. And when I talk, you know, go back again to Saturday evening, our job as coaches, and again, there's a lot of blame to go around. You know, it starts with me and the coaches, as I've said already after the game. We got to put our kids. Our job as coaches is to put the kids to be successful, put them in a position to be successful. And as you keep going, that's what we have to do, is put them in a better position to be successful.
What's your evaluation of Jayden Bradley? He had a rough game against Rhode Island. Didn't have a great start to this game. Had those 2 touchdowns late. Is he doing the right things?
He is. You know, Jayden, I'm fired up for Jayden. You know, Bradley's done a nice job. You know, he's fought through some adversity. Things aren't going good. You know, short memory. He really wants to see out of a wideout, and we've helped him out as well. You know, Jayden's a very, you know, Jayden, he's confident. Okay, he's very confident to the point where, you know, he's, you know, thinks he knows every position. I can play the X, I can play the Z, I can play this, you know, I can do it all. And we had him learning them all. And you know, mistake on our part. You know, you might know what you're doing, but can you do it at a high level? He wasn't doing it at a high level, and that's our fault as coaches. You know, not put in the position to be successful. And I think, you know, what we've done the last 2 weeks is said, listen, you're playing one position, and you're gonna know that position in and out. And you know, again, what you lose by that is, you know, maybe he's that 4th receiver in the game, and you want to get him in whenever you're able to get him in. You know, Canate needs a break, go in there, take him, go, you know, for the Z, go for the X. But we're not doing that anymore. You know, when your position needs a blow, that's when you go in and, you know, just trying to, you know, just slim down what he has to know so he can play fast and do everything exactly the way we need it. Because everything's precision. Again, it's one guy. One guy runs a bad route and it messes up, you know, the levels in a pass concept. You have issues. Everybody's got to be in the right spot just to spread the defense out.
Pat, I know you never like to lose, but is there almost a little bit of a benefit to have an ugly loss like this early in the ACC schedule so you can really view everything and kind of start over from scratch before you're in the midst of everything?
Hate to lose. You know, I don't know if there's ever a good loss because you can learn from, you know, a bad win too, and we've done that as well. But we just got to keep getting better as a football team, and we're going to learn regardless of, you know, a loss or a win. We're going to make our adjustments and you know, regroup and start over again.
Go ahead, Jerry.
You haven't had your 5 offensive linemen together at all this season. There's 5 guys that said they were coming back together. Does that have a lot to do with what has happened so far this year? And I think it even has this. When do you expect to have them all back together?
I don't know, Jerry. Second question. But yeah, hey, anytime you don't have them all playing again, I think you guys asked a question after the game. you want them all together. You know, there's a cohesion and a comfort level when you have them all in there. And we had some missed IDs, you know, which we haven't had a lot. You know, when you go to this game, all of a sudden there's some, you know, some center mistake IDs, which, you know, Owen doesn't have very many of those because he's a veteran and you know, followed up Jimmy, and, you know, and Cradle's done an unbelievable job, but, you know, he gave up some pressures and some misidentifications as far as where the linebackers and where we're targeting and where we're going, and that doesn't help the quarterback any, it doesn't help the offense any, but we'll get it cleaned up.
You brought up that Virginia Tech is a Penn State flavor, obviously, with Coach Pride being there for a number of years. What have you seen so far on the tape that signifies that?
You know, obviously, you know, he's got his mark on defense. You know, they're playing really good defense, which, you know, he did when he was at Penn State. That's why he got that job down there, because of the consistency and the type of defensive product he put on the field. So, you know, they're playing really good defense. And he's got, you know, an old Penn Stater that's, you know, running his offense. So, you know, you see, you know, what he'd like to do, what his vision of an offense and a defense is in a football team is.
At 15 carries for Vince is more than he's had since last September. What went into using him so much, and why did you make that choice?
Sometimes you don't have choices. I mean, you know, Izzy was banged up a little bit, and got banged up in the game, not prior to the game, and you know, that happens. It's going to happen, and we got a lot of confidence in Vince. You know, I don't know. You guys can check back. You know, I love Vince, and I got a ton of confidence in him, and you know, he ran the ball well too. You know, he ran the ball well. He put the ball on the ground a couple times, which, you know, is going to get you beat. Period. And I don't know if he's had a fumble. I can't think of a fumble in the last 2 or 3 years that Vince Davis has had. So mark that as one of those one-timers, and never expect to see it again. I mean, that's the type of kid Vince is. I'm sure he's hurting from it and feels bad, and you know, he'll be holding on to that ball a little bit tighter, you know, the rest of the season. Sometimes it's got to happen for you to go. Let's go.
Do you have a chance to see Kenny play at all? I know you were busy yesterday, but.
You know, I got home about 11:15 last night. As soon as I got home,
Early.
my kids were like, "Dad, you want to watch it? We DVR'd it." You know, I was getting this sling of, I mean, you know, in the middle of the day, I'm looking at my, you know, got family text, and I'm seeing, you know, all these Steeler emojis and flags, and the fans are going nuts and all that stuff. So I went home and stayed up a little longer. Usually when I get home, I pass out, but. You know, actually had, you know, text exchange with Kenny last night and his dad, but I was happy for him, and, you know, I think he's only going to get better with reps, and you know, I'm happy for Kenny and the family, and you know, see how it goes.
You've got a lot of work for Tyler Wills, especially with Servati and Shane on Saturday. How did you do with maybe more workload?
Tyler did great. Tyler had a really nice game. I was excited about what we saw. He plays fast. He's been productive, and he just keeps earning more reps every week that we play him, that's for sure.
You guys were able to get back on top of the ACC as far as sack production so far, numbers-wise, but what do you guys have to do to kind of be able to search yourself a bit more on the defensive front, finish the play? You guys are getting pressure, but maybe not finishing it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we had 4 sacks in the first half, none in the second half. You know, that's not what you want to see, and Jeff Sims took off running. I mean, he's a good football player. I'm telling you, that guy's really good. I think he got a chance to play on Sunday somewhere. I'm not sure if it's a quarterback or not, but you know, I made sure to search him out after the game just to tell him what a nice ball game he played. I mean, he could run. You know, he got the edge a couple times when our guys misjudged his speed around the corner. And a couple of them were some busts. You know, it hurts when this is the hash mark and the ball is tackled right there, and the defense thinks it's on a hash. And as a play call, you look down at your call script, okay, we're on a hash here, and you call a play, and all of a sudden the ball ends up being over here, and you're like, what? You know, and all of a sudden now it's in the middle of the field, becomes an issue, but hopefully we can, you know, correct some of that. But you know, we made some errors, you know, with some of that, and put, you know, the only big pass of the game was, you know, if you go back and look at, I think it was a 33-yarder. Was all just, I mean, Hama's got a sack or Bengali's got a sack if we just do it the right way. It was been sack number 5, but you know, we didn't do a good job of over-communicating on defense. We assumed everybody knew what was going on, and we you know, assumption will get you beat, and that's knowledge, that's communication, that's over-communicating. They, you know, gave up the first field goal of the day out of just a 33-yard pass, and then went 3 and out, or 3 plays, and they kick a field goal. But the 33-yard pass gets you, and again, it was all structure and communication on defense.
Same issues with the long run, the 63-yard run?
Which one? There was too many of them.
The 63.
Which one? Who ran that one? I got confused because there was 5 big runs. We talked about explosive runs. We had 3, the last 3 weeks, and then we gave up, I think, 5 big runs, which, again, the quarterback had the last one at the end. That was an adjustment. We didn't get lined up perfectly like we need to, and when they're 40 detached receivers, you better get lined up perfect. We didn't. Again, I don't remember the 63-yard one. If you can tell me, was it a tailback?
It was like a first down, yeah, tailback. I think you guys have just scored.
Yeah.
Fourth quarter.
Fourth quarter.
Real late.
I don't remember. Pull up the video. We'll go through the video section here. I would love to tell you which one it was. I can remember the quarterback on the zone, on what we call swap play, sweep with the tailback quarterback inside zone. There was another one, I'd be lying to tell you exactly which one it was. I'm moving up and watching a lot of Virginia Tech tape today.
How about a couple more?
Pat, how do you clean up the penalties? There were 12 for I think 75 yards on Saturday.
We had 2 on defense. We had holding on a 5-yard play, and we had 1 offsides where DeAndre Jules lined about this far offsides. We're going to get a check for glasses today just to make sure you can see the ball and make sure you better go over the ball. I think we had 4 unforced errors on offense. 2 false starts down, coming out on a 99-yard drive. But we just had, I think, Jacoby flinched one time. And then there was 1 holding on Vince in protection. Vince Davis in protection, which called back an 18-yard pass, which that's a large penalty when you're going backwards. You're talking about a 28-yard penalty there because of the yardage we lost in the play and the penalty yardage. So, again, we've been pretty solid on penalties. The most disappointing was what I started off with, talking about the special teams penalty, where our guys are busting their balls down butts down the field and trying to cut people off and not getting it done and in the proper technique. And they're busting their butt to get things done, but you just sometimes try too hard. MJ can make people miss, and if you can't get your block, pull off and find a different color jersey.
Virginia Tech has given up the 3rd fewest sacks in the conference so far. What have you seen that they do well in protection to keep their quarterback alive in plays? How do you guys have to counter that to spark enough sacks?
Grant Wells does a good job of knowing where to go, where to go with the ball. He's a seasoned quarterback from Marshall, and obviously a transfer in there. He can make all the throws. He can run. He does a lot of scrambling, so we've got to be able to, we've got to be able to get him in the pocket when we have opportunities. We can't let him run. They run a lot of draws, with him as well. So he's going to be a ball carrier a lot like we saw this past weekend. So last week it'll be a good challenge for our guys, and then following it up with another similar offense. They're very similar to what they've been the last couple of years offensively. With some things they're doing, it's almost like they went back and watched all last year's season and said, let's do the same thing. The new head coach doing the same things kind of on offense, which are very similar to what they did at Penn State as well. If I answered your question.
Coach, thank you very much.
Okay, thanks guys, appreciate it.
Thank you.